Hi, I'm David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Mariam Genes. We will be discussing urban planning and economic development in Africa. Mariam is pursuing her PhD at Wits University in Johannesburg. Her research interests include urban economics, local economics, development, and economic policy analysis. Mariam is a recipient of Queen Elizabeth scholarships. It's a great pleasure to have you at my show, Mariam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David.
You have been involved in multidisciplinary research projects at the Institute of Human Settlement Studies at Ardhi University in Tanzania. Can you please share what these projects are about?
So I have been working here for 6 years, and yes, I have been involved in multidisciplinary projects for all this period of time. And I have been involved as a research assistant mostly, but some of them as a team member. And I've been mostly been doing like data collection in field and report writing and those kind of stuff. So if I can share about one or two, three specific projects that I've worked on. So one was called Knowledge in Action for Urban Equality. Shoulders know, it was funded by GCRF and UKRI, and it was focusing on urban inequalities, and it aimed at co-producing knowledge with grassroots for ensuring equality. And it was led by Professor Karen Levy from UCL, and I was involved as a research assistant in this one. And another one was called Governance and Planning for Resilient Cities in East Africa, and it was about climate change resilience, and it was funded by DAD and BMBF from Germany, and it had a component of action research. So this one is very interesting. It had a component of action research. So one of the aims was looking at how communities can manage surface runoff. And within one of the neighborhoods, the case study neighborhoods, they actually built a rainwater harvesting well in one of the schools as one of the ways to manage surface runoff, and it was really interesting. I was a project administrator for this project, and I was also involved in collection of for data at some point. And another one was about urban and peri-urban agriculture, and it was done in India, in Tanzania. Okay. So this one was funded by the British Academy under GCRF again, and it was led by Professor Rao from University of East Anglia. And what it was looking about is a day-to-day activities of urban farmers and challenges they face, and how do they manage the challenges they face. Yeah, and I was one of the team members for the Dar es Salaam team. And then we also made comparison between Dar es Salaam and Morogoro and India. Okay. Yeah, so briefly, those are maybe some of the projects that I have been involved on. Yeah.
You are currently pursuing a PhD in urban and regional planning. Share with us a little bit about your research.
So my PhD is under a very big research project. It's called Making Africa Urban. Okay. And it's funded by the European Research Council. Okay. And it's been carried out in 3 cities in Africa, Dar es Salaam, Accra, and Lilongwe. Okay. And this one is led by Professor Jennifer Robinson from University College London. Okay. So what the project is looking at is the role of developmental, like the World Banks and sovereign actors like Chinese, Japanese, and the likes, and private sector into making Africa urban through the large-scale urban development investment. Okay. So my role in the project is actually working on the private sector part of the project and in Dar es Salaam. Okay. And what I'm specifically looking at now, the subject or the topic of my PhD, I'm looking at the response of real estate developers to the newly constructed roads in Dar es Salaam. And specifically, I'll be looking at who are the actors, what are their motives and interests, what processes are involved in this investment. And the reason why I chose this project and it was interesting to me is like I've been living in Dar es Salaam for like 12 years now, and I have witnessed the city transforming magnificently, particularly in terms of large-scale transport infrastructure. And now these transport infrastructure I'm focusing on, and I'm focusing on roads here, they have been going hand in hand with mushrooming of real estate properties along these roads. Right. And it might not be surprising, right? I mean, road infrastructure, they attract investments along them. Yes. But for me, I took this as not as obvious thing as it might be.
Yeah.
So I was more interested with what's beyond the things that we see, what's beyond what the eyes meet. So yes, we see these buildings, but who are the investors? Who are the developers? What are their motives with regard to these investments? How did they acquire land, for instance? What processes did they have to follow? What relationships did they have to build, and things like that? And then also connecting these to city plans, like the Dar es Salaam master plan, which is supposed to be the document that is guiding the city, obviously. But this was only approved in 2020, that's 3 years ago. But these developments, the real estate properties that we see have been happening, I mean, like within 5-10 years ago. So I'm also interested in what has been guiding these developments in the absence of the current Dar es Salaam master plan. And if at all, they also align with what is stipulated now in the current master plan. I'm still in my first year. I have my proposal approved already and ready to yeah, thank you. Ready to go to the field for interviews. And I will be interviewing developers, real estate experts, planners, officials from local government and others. So like I mentioned, I have 2 case study roles. One is the bus rapid transit. It was funded by the World Bank. And another one was expansion of the, there's a place called Morocco and another one called Mwenge. So there's expansion of roads from Morocco to Mwenge into double lanes, and that one was funded by JICA. So yeah, and so I'll be getting my most of my information from these interviews and literature review, document review, like the Dar es Salaam master plan that I mentioned. So yeah, and linking the developments with the plans.
What have you learned so far in your PhD research?
That's a very good question. Yeah, so in terms of findings, since I haven't really gone into the fieldwork yet for the interviews, and most of my information will be from interviews. So what I've been doing mostly is just collecting secondary data, doing observations and document reviews. I've started like reviewing the master plan and other documents. But from my observation, one of the interesting findings that I can share is maybe for the Mwenge Morocco road that I mentioned. I've discovered that a key real estate player along that road might be the National Housing Corporation, which is then the government entity that was mandated for providing affordable housing in the country, but currently it's operating as a private developer, and they have massive structures erected along that road. And I've found out that they also have other plots that haven't been developed yet. So since I will be talking to officials from National Housing Corporation, I'm interested to see what are the plans with these undeveloped properties. So yeah, I'm looking forward into that. But yeah, it's what I've learned so far is that PhD is a good journey, and you have to be patient. Yeah, it teaches you patience.
What advice do you have for students who wish to pursue a PhD?
That's a very important question. It's good. Thanks for asking this. So yeah, in one sentence, I would say, like, do not do a PhD unless you're ready to do it. And make sure it's on an area that you're interested in. PhD is a journey. It's a 3 or 4 years journey, right? And sometimes 5 or more, depending on which country are you getting it from. So if it's something that you don't really like and you just happen to be there, you'll hate it. And you don't want to do something that you're going to hate it for 3 or 4 years. It's not worth it. So maybe there's an opportunity that you saw. Maybe it's a project like what I mentioned, buying is under project. But I was interested with what I'm studying. I'm studying right now. But maybe it could be you're in an environment like this, an academia, and then there's a project, and then it has a PhD component, and then you're like, oh, I let me just do this because it has a PhD component. And as academicians, we are required to further our study. So don't do it just because it's there. If it happens that it's there, it's an opportunity that arose, like what mine did, and then it happens that it's aligning with your interest, then that's well and good. It's fortunate for you. But Don't do
Right.
it just
Okay.
because it's there for the sake
Okay.
of scholarship or for the sake of whatever. Make sure it's
Okay.
something that you really like. Otherwise, you're just going to hate it, and it's not
Okay.
worth it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
oh,
So I was I got an opportunity to be one of the Queen Elizabeth Scholars in 2017, and I spent 3 years in Canada under the
oh,
University
wow.
of the Fraser Valley, and
Wow.
many thanks to Dr. Sherry Enns for providing me with that opportunity. That
Okay.
was a very good experience for me for many reasons, but one of the very reasons that I will never forget is that was my first time out of the country.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was my
Nice.
first time out of the country. So you can imagine the culture shock, me
Yeah.
coming from a developing country and
Yeah.
land into
Yeah.
such a developed country, that
Yeah.
it's so much different from Tanzania in terms of infrastructure,
Yeah.
services, and everything
Mhm.
else you know about that.
Mm.
And then I also went to Berlin in 2019. It was a research workshop for a week.
Okay.
And then this February I was in London.
Okay.
So these having getting an opportunity to go into these different places and see
Yeah.
the difference between developed and developing countries,
Yeah.
it really widened my thinking
Mhm.
and helped me see things in a different way, in different
Right.
angles, in different perspectives.
Right.
So I would say these kind of exposures are really helpful and important for people, because they help you learn. And for instance, for some of us who are interested or are working in the research or academia, they're good eye-opening opportunities, especially when thinking about what or how can we do to solve some of the challenges that we face in our countries. So they help someone to deepen their thoughts and also be able to draw similarities and differences between varying contexts. So yeah, that was very good experience together with other.
Thank you for your time, Mariam. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.